Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when moving from grey to green, we are learning. All member states are learning this, so it's a great honor for us to be present here in this international seminar, and I can briefly summarize the framework. I was given about 15 minutes where we will try to speak about this. Currently, we have the energy strategies revision ongoing. I think everyone understands why this is necessary, because we had significant changes both in Europe and in the whole world in energy. Here, we want to emphasize that in energy policy, we increase our energy sovereignty within the country with the possibilities that the country has. With these, I want to speak a little bit in greater detail how we wish to achieve this. We have some energy and climate targets where we want to have affordable energy within a green framework and a safe, affordable energy to households and to companies, and in a safe way. Let me share with you, if we want to say a few figures. Greenhouse gas emissions, we want to decrease it greater, so decreasing greenhouse gas emissions compared to 1990. Instead of 40%, we want at least a 50% decrease as a new target. The final energy consumption, which is indeed a major task to all of us, because we're talking about re-industrialization in the country, and there are additional plans for this, so the industry will have energy needs. However, by 2030, it will be around 750 petajoule, the maximum final energy consumption. Compared to last year, this is a somewhat lower value. And how important last year's value was, I want to confirm with some figures. If we're talking about green transition, allow me to mention renewable energy share in the gross final consumption. It was forecast at 21% until 2030. And as a new target, we want to increase it to 29%. So in 6 years, we would need to double the share of renewables in the economy. How can we achieve this? We have three main directions, key strategic intervention areas. Allow me to briefly highlight all three. The first one, and perhaps the most important one, and I'm sure other speakers will elaborate further, this is energy efficiency, increasing energy efficiency. So meaning decreasing energy consumption, reducing energy, and mainly natural gas demand reduction, because the country has a huge exposure, one of the highest if we look at fuels, even though significant investments have taken place in increasing domestic production. This is also important for the greening. The second intervention area is increasing the share of alternative sources. We want to find alternatives for the existing imports. We want to diversify here, because the country will not be able to use it from internal sources, and alternative gases compared to natural gas. we want to have in the energy mix in a greater proportion. The third one is ensuring supply for increasing electricity needs and flexibility. We see in Europe that greening the energy system, a most important aspect here, is using electricity more in all sectors in society. This is what I call electrification. So securing the supply for the constantly increasing demand for electricity and flexibility by adapting new market design and regulation, developing additional generation capacities, mainly on renewable basis, and investing in the infrastructure. So last but not least, strengthening the green economy. Within this, we want to promote the green transition. The logic here is not just we want to link to Net Zero Industry Act Commission's initiative, but if we have a significant volume for the energy transition, we need this, we would do it through Hungarian companies as much as we can. I mentioned the energy consumption last year, which is important. Well, there was a crisis on the energy market. One could see that in a short period of time, behavioral patterns can change, and this can lead to a fall in energy consumption. Look at the left-hand chart, please. This is the natural gas consumption. The red line is the 2022-2023 summer, between the two summers. 20% was the fall in natural gas consumption. Compared to the orange, we were continuously below the orange figure. So it's not just an ad hoc 1 or 2 months phenomena. And actually, the mild winter also contributed to this. The second chart shows the gross final electricity consumption on a monthly basis. So you can see 2022, 2023 figures. You can see that from the summer of 2022, electricity consumption went down compared to the same month of the previous year. So we only saw something like this around the crisis in 2009. So just a few thoughts about the planned energy efficiency measures. So ongoing programs for increasing energy efficiency in big companies and SMEs. So at both levels, there is an energy efficiency program running. We want to have it for public buildings, because you can save quite a bit of energy there. The CAOP resources will be running out, but we want to re-establish this, so on a bigger base, local government buildings and governmental buildings. We want to launch for residential buildings an energy saving program. The details are being worked out at the moment. If I move on to the second intervention area, this is actually looking for alternatives. I wanted to bring in geothermal energy production, which are not weather dependent. In Hungary, one of the most accessible renewable is geothermal energy. The country is in an excellent position, not as good as Iceland or Turkey. Nevertheless, we are in a good situation. 6 petajoule is what we use from geothermal energy. 10 times this amount could be used, so a 10-fold amount. So significant investments we would like to see, and this is also meaning the short term, to invest in geothermal. Please look on the right side. on my chart. Installed geothermal capacity is already 1 gigawatt. The performance or the output needs to be examined in these cases, but within heat, the distribution is not the best. It's mostly agricultural balneology targets that these are using. We want to push this to within 4 to 6 years, mostly to use in industry, the heat from geothermal to be used by the industry, for instance, in the heat utilization. The other is the district heating, and the third, which is crucial for local governments and buildings as well. I think here one might remind you that the biggest geothermal investment based district heating system is in Hungary, the Szeged district heating investment. Our goal is that until 2026 we want to increase by 20% the utilization of geothermal energy from 6 petajoule to 8 petajoule, and until 2030 we want to double this amount, between 10 to 12, and until 2035 reaching a 25–30% share in heat production. In the heat market, almost 1/3 could be based on geothermal energy. So heat production is crucial here, and later on looking at the entries of technology, even in electricity could be generated by geothermal. I already spoke about this, these weather-independent renewables, so boosting production, targeting both currently, so for larger institutions to reduce district heating, and actually the fee compared to 1 year ago went down. It is still, the fee for district heating is higher, but I think for local governments it's a key and relevant issue what the price of district heating will be. Let me emphasize here the role of green hydrogen. Hydrogen, 1,000 tons, so this is done on a grey hydrogen production sites and new facilities. Not just in the industry is hydrogen used. Well, we want to green hydrogen. We want to bring in new industrial sectors, especially in industries that are more difficult to decarbonize through electrification. The steel industry, green steel is a known concept, glass, cement production, so where you need a high temperature. One might add, we're still thinking about this. We will have some consultations with the local governments. Biogas, we are thinking about it, how this could be increased. We are currently looking at biomass and also with sludge and the potential that could be used here for biogas. I'd also like to mention, and we will be able to talk about the European aspect here, we see a huge potential for biological-based green hydrogen. This means that in the case of sludge, it could be a competitor to the production of biogas. What's also important here in electrification is the electricity mix. You can see between 2021 to 2050. We might just stay until 2030. The fault rate is lower if the time span is shorter. So how is the electricity production going to look like? I'm sure you will touch upon this topic in greater detail later on. So according to our calculation, 50% increase in electricity is going to be the case, partly because of re-industrialization and also because of the electrification processes. This, we believe, will be a 60 to 40% proportion. So this is important. Our second statement is that we want to decarbonize electricity production. If we do this, then we see two big major pillars, not just until 2030, so the base load type, and this again is an issue that we would like to discuss with others. But the two most important pillars are nuclear energy. POCH 1 is giving 45% of the electricity production per year. We want to increase the service life of the different blocks in POCH, and from 2030 we hope that POCH 2 could be put into service. This would be a strong pillar in our electricity mix. And the other, so we want to maintain nuclear energy levels, and with renewables we want to have an increasing share. You can see until 2030, 33% would be the share of renewable energy. The vast majority would be solar, but wind would also appear. Even now we have wind-based energy production, and until 2030 this would show an increase. Another interesting topic could be for a more general seminar, even at European level, is the role of natural gas in electricity production. We regard this as an interim technology but because of the balancing function, we think this is important. So in the next 15 years, without natural gas, balancing is not going to be possible. If we look at other countries' policies, we can see that it is in line with the others. Another thing to be noted, by 2030, solar capacities will provide half, so this will create a new situation in volume as well. And energy storage, even with, we want to move in this direction, we don't have this pump, and we put an investment package. 5 billion euro is investment, or actually 7-8 billion is the total investment. And thank you very much for your kind attention.